Hello, it's the Inquiring Cat here, asking a question about what's happening to British farming. Now, Jeremy Clarkson is hailed as the guy who's done more for British farming since he launched his series than perhaps anybody else. But if you ever watch the Adam Henson series, Our Family Farm Rescue, on TV, you'll know there are lots of farms which are living right on the edge and trying to find ways to earn a sustainable living. The budget has had an immediate effect that most people will be unaware of in the wider community. The sales of farm capital equipment like tractors and so on has just fallen off a cliff. People are already losing their jobs in the dealerships that sell this equipment because if you want to buy a tractor, which costs £150,000 to £250,000, that could be up to £250,000 inheritance allowance gobbled up in one go. The government likes to talk about the fact that, in fact, you can accumulate £3 million if there's two parents and all the rest of it. Well, what about the one-parent farmers? And it's also alleged that one farmer was talking to a Labour MP minister in the lobby at the House of Commons and explained to the minister that the Labour Party's argument that the £300,000 tax on a £3 million estate could be paid over 10 years, in other words, £30,000 a year. And this farmer said, but we only make £30,000 a year to sustain my family. And the reply he got was, you're a liar, I don't believe you. Now, that's alleged. I can't promise it's true. But the truth is that the farming community, if you live in Surrey, generally speaking, yes, you see farmers driving around in decent cars and seeming to have a high standard of living. But if you go out across the majority of the country, that is very much not the case. It's a tough job. In fact, it's a very tough job. So whilst the people at DEFRA, who don't seem to have actually any particular knowledge of farming, have dreamt up this scheme and sold it through the Treasury to Rachel Reeves, and by the way, Angela Rayner is about to give them a 4-day week on top of their good salaries, guaranteed income, nice pensions, civil service guaranteed pensions and all the rest of it. Your farmers are out there 7 days a week, 365 days a year, in all weathers, 24 hours a day if you're lambing, trying to scrape a living in many cases. And these farms should be passed down from father to children, or parents to children. So the impact of the budget has been immediate. The suicide rate amongst farmers is already one of the highest sector rates in the country. And we have to hope that this negative budget won't exacerbate that incidence, which would be truly appalling and tragic. The impact in terms of if we lose these farms will be that to pay the tax, the farms will have to sell off some land. Because farming is so marginal, you actually need to try and acquire more land, not have less. And therefore, if the farming becomes unviable, you can bet your bottom dollar that it'll be the corporates that tend to buy up the farms. If it's people like investment banks from America, doubtless any profit that can be squeezed will be taken abroad and escape the hands of the British Exchequer. And the farms can never be reinstated really to the families who've owned them and loved them and know the land. And so it's an absolute tragedy that this is happening. And the irony, of course, is that business property relief was brought in by a Labour government in the 1970s, followed by agricultural property relief, because it was recognised that when you inherit one of these family businesses, whether it's a farm or an engineering firm or anything else, if the value of that business is £10 million, you're not actually inheriting £10 million. What you're inheriting is a job, an income, and an opportunity to grow the business. And then if and when you come to sell that business, of course, you would pay capital gains tax on it. But when it's passed from generation to generation, their love and passion for the business is greater usually than any outsiders could be. And a great motivation to invest in small businesses, whether it's farming or engineering or anything else, comes from families wanting to pass it on to the next generation. And if you remove the incentive of passing it on, then you develop a short-termism which says it's not worth investing in the business in the same way. So I think it's a real disaster what the government's done, another disaster, that this Inquiring Cat has looked into a little bit. And I'm proud to say I flew back from Thailand to march with the farmers on the 19th at the first demo down in Whitehall, and it was impressive. About 13,000, far more than the organisers expected. And unlike other marches that go down Whitehall, the first thing that happened was there was a minute's silence at the Cenotaph where we were gathered. And the second thing was a very vocal praise for the Metropolitan Police for allowing us to hold the march and marshalling it so effectively. I think they looked absolutely amazed. It's not what they're used to getting when there's a demonstration. But it was orderly, polite, but very passionate. And there were some really powerful speakers talking about how damaging this would be to their businesses. And there's one of the things that Adam Henson did all those times ago, about 2 or 3 years ago now, was he spoke about the Potterland Smokery, a farm up in Scotland, in the southwest of Scotland. Can't remember now whether that's Galloway or not. And how this farm was on the brink. And it was due to the innovation of the wife's brother that they went into doing a smokery business, and the publicity of the TV program didn't do them any harm. And I am thrilled to say that I have been a customer of their smoked lamb, which is brilliant. And I have also seen that the publicity they got has allowed them to develop a viable business. But the farming is so intensive that there are many times when they have to say we've not been able to do any smoking because we've just been having to dip sheep and do whatever we have to do, which is indicative of how marginal life can be when you're out on a farm. And it's not a ready, steady income at all. Or you could put down, £100,000 worth of seed, and the weather just wipes it all out, and it's a loss you can't recover. So it's a very different business to almost any other business in that regard, harder than any other business. But whether it's business property relief or agriculture property relief, 60% of our economy is based around small enterprises, and 62% of our food security is homegrown food. And the government have taken anti-growth, anti-business, anti-farming actions, which is diametrically opposed to what they promised on their route to being elected. Just thoroughly dishonest, actually. So this inquisitive, inquiring cat has looked into it and is not very happy, not purring with satisfaction. Anyway, like, subscribe, see you next time.